More on the U.S. decision to pull out U.S. troops, let me turn to Nicolai Due-Gundersen. He's a political analyst at Kingston University, London. And Nicolai, were you surprised by the White House decision to pull U.S. troops out of Syria?
I think a lot of analysts were surprised. Certainly the Pentagon seems surprised. Personally, I do believe that there's been a lot of pressure on Trump from Erdogan, especially, who has been butting heads with what Trump has been doing in Syria and has been putting increasing pressure on Trump's decisions in Syria. So in a sense, I was not surprised. We do know that a few days ago, Erdogan reported that he had a conversation with Trump in which he told Trump that U.S. support of Kurdish militias, which Turkey calls terrorists, was not acceptable. And it seems that Trump is going one step further and he's yielding even more to Turkey.
Well, Kurdish allies have really been instrumental in defeating ISIL in Syria, although Turkey, as you mentioned, does not like that alliance. Do you think they see this as a huge U.S. betrayal?
This is not the first time that this sort of incident has been on the table. There have been previous incidents where Trump, for example, ended funding of programs for the Kurds across the Middle East. But I do believe that many Kurdish militias and others will see it as a betrayal, because now what will happen from their perspective is that they will be vulnerable. Turkey has made it clear that Kurdish militias to them are terrorists, and those active within Syria are also declared as terrorists. So I think they will see it as a huge betrayal, and they will now feel very vulnerable to Erdogan's moves in Syria.
Let me get your reaction to President Donald Trump's tweet. He says, "We have defeated ISIS in Syria. My only reason for being there during the Trump presidency." Has ISIL in fact been defeated, and could this decision have a destabilizing effect in the region and beyond?
Well, ISIS certainly has been reduced significantly, both in Iraq and in Syria. It used to hold swaths of territory, which it no longer has. At the same time, I think that, again, the issue of ISIS has been one of security. The notion that ISIS represented a threat in the region, in the Middle East. And this is also a notion that Turkey has latched onto. Since 2015, Turkey has seen sporadic attacks claimed by ISIL across the region. And so what I find interesting is the fact that Turkey has actually claimed credibility or taking credit for defeating ISIS themselves. Now what will happen is, with Trump withdrawing, with the U.S. withdrawing, Turkey will ramp up their activities in Syria, and they will probably say that ISIS has not been defeated yet, but that they will finish what the U.S. started.
Republican lawmakers like Lindsey Graham, in reaction, said an American withdrawal at this time would be a big win for ISIS, Iran, Bashar al-Assad, and Russia. Nicolai, what do you make of that statement?
I'd say that's a fairly accurate statement. Right now, Trump's under a lot of pressure back home as well. He has a 38% approval rating. And the Middle East, he's not too popular there either, especially after his Jerusalem decision, which angered many Arab states. I think that right now what we are seeing is certainly Russia will step up their game in Syria along with Turkey. I also am aware of the fact that, for example, Russia has been in talks with the Assad regime to rebuild Syrian infrastructure in exchange for oil and gas contracts. So we can see that energy and access to oil and the geopolitics of Syria will play a huge role for the remaining political actors that are in Syria right now.
All right, we'll leave it there. Nicolai Due-Gundersen from Kingston University, London. Thank you.